stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.
Hello and welcome to another episode of We Are Mighty. How's everybody doing today? How has 2025 been treating you so far? Yes, I know we're only a few weeks into the new year, but it's still a new year, new opportunities, new mercies. There's a lot to be celebrated. Does it feel any different than 2024? Did you turn over a new leaf, or at least to decide to do some things differently than you were doing them before? I think I've mentioned before, I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but being that it's a new year, I do try to do some things a little bit differently. How's your mental? Have you been keeping the sad thoughts at bay? Have you been keeping yourself busy? Doing things so that you don't allow your mind to be idle, to let those sad thoughts creep in. That could be a way to deal with it. Or do you do something like write in a journal? There's so many ways to keep from allowing yourself to just slump into depression as a result of grief. Because the grief journey stays with us. And that's something that I had to, again, remind myself. You know, that loss is going to be there. I just have to figure out how to maneuver now with it being a part of my life. And like I had said before, I'm being intentional about it. So I try to figure out, what can I do to make this day just a little bit happier, to keep myself from falling into sadness, depression, feeling sorry for myself, feeling sorry for the loss, feeling sorry for my family. Because it honestly feels like everybody else in the family is just moving around just fine, and I'm the one who's dragging, who's not in the positive mood or not getting past the grief, when the fact of the matter is we're all dealing with it. It's just everyone's dealing with it in their own way. And so I've decided to try to do it a little bit differently, try to be a little more positive each day, and try to keep the negative thoughts from consuming me, try to keep the sadness from being my persona. And people always tell me that, I don't look like what I've been through, and I carry it well. And, my mom always says that I'm unapologetic with what I do. And it's not that I'm disrespectful, or I can be blunt at times, I guess. But hell, that was before my son died. So I don't think that's anything new. But I still try to be careful with my words, be careful with my actions, because as a result of grief, there are some things that just affect me differently now. It was interesting. This past week, I had a conversation with my mother, and for some reason, I just looked closely at my mom's face, and I realized my mom is aging. Of course, everybody's aging. You get older each day, but I can see in her face that she's aging and that she's getting older. And before I even took a moment to think about it, I was in tears. And my mom's, she's being funny. Girl, I'm old. Be quiet. It's all good. But when you have lost someone, you worry about who's next or losing anyone else anytime in the near future. And I'm not ready for that. And my mom, she literally had to calm me down because I was in tears. We were standing on the street talking, And out of nowhere, I started crying because I don't want to lose my mom. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about any more grief. I'm having a hard enough time with the situation that I'm dealing with, with losing my son. I even have a 4-year-old goddaughter that I will be burying here in the next few days. Nobody can prepare for that kind of loss at such a young age. I'm really tired of grief surrounding me, but it just seems lately it is just everywhere I turn. And maybe it's just that it affects me more now because I've had a loss so close to me that I'm actually paying more attention, because we know fact of the matter is people are dying every day. But it just has never seemed to be so many people so close to me. But I'm still trying to stay positive, and I'm still trying to focus on what I need to do to move forward. I recently started a hip hop step class, aerobics class, workout class, whatever you want to call it, once a week. And it feels good to be doing something, outside of the house. And someone actually said to me when they found out I was going to the class, it's great that you're finally doing something for yourself. And I hadn't thought about it, but I've been doing a lot of busy things. I've been doing a lot of stuff for other people to keep myself busy. And I hadn't really done anything for myself. So that makes me even more motivated to go to this class because it's something I'm doing for myself. Now, my instructor is a beast and the class kicks my behind, but I still feel good afterwards, and I feel like I'm making a step in the right direction. I feel like I'm taking care of myself. And I realize that that is something that is very important. Self-care. We have to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And it's so easy not to when you're dealing with grief. Because, at least in my case, for a very long time, I wanted to do nothing but sit on the couch and sulk and think about the fact that I lost someone very close to me. Even though I hated thinking about it, it's all I could think about. It's all I could do. I was doing well to get up to go to work, but once I got home from work, and once you get to a point where you're sitting still, your mind's not busy, your body's not busy, that's when all of the thoughts enter your head. And I wanted to do that for a very long time. Just once I got home, I would just sit still. But I have a family. So if I'm getting home and I'm sitting still, what's going on with my family? I'm the mother of the family. A lot of times I'm expected to cook. When I cook, I'm expected to, clean the kitchen, clean after myself. But I wasn't doing that. I would cook and maybe go and sit in the room by myself for a little while. Or I would do something in the living room and just leave everything where it was, because I wouldn't have the energy to clean up. I wouldn't have the energy to move. I barely had the energy to cook food. So what happens as a result? Things pile up. Things look a way that you don't want them to look. And I got to the point where I didn't want people to come by because I didn't want them to see that I could not clear my mind, honestly, enough to focus on cleaning one room or cleaning the dishes. I may do a few at a time, and there's still others. And it literally was my depression To me, it was just an embarrassment. I'm just allowing myself I'm letting myself go. I picked myself up from that, of course. And, I've taken care of things, and I spent like an entire weekend just making sure my house was physically in order. Now, mentally, was I fully there yet? No. Am I fully there yet? No. And as long as I'm dealing with not just the death of my son, in my case, it's a result of a murder. So I have to go to court. I have to sometimes relive these things so they stay in my mind. It's just learning how to continue even though those thoughts are there. So I'm proud of myself for taking the time, even though right now it's just 1 hour out of the week, that I'm doing something for myself, that I'm doing something that I enjoy. I'm not doing anything for anybody else at that moment. I'm focused on me. My phone's away from me. And it's just a time to let loose, honestly. And it's fun. I'm not saying you have to go out and get into a step class. No. Find something that you enjoy that can take you away from the grief, that can take you away from the depression and the sadness, even if for a little while. What I'm hoping is, starting with this 1 hour a week, that it'll grow to more time out of the week, that I'm doing things for myself, that I'm doing things to take care of myself, to bring me back to as close to normal as I can get with this huge hole, with this huge loss that I'm dealing with. I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to find something that brings you joy, that brings your mind away from all of the madness, all of the grief, the sadness, the depression, the hurt, the pain of the loss, just the thought of it, even if it's for half an hour, just a little bit of time to take care of yourself for just a moment. The grief's going to be there. The loss is going to be there. But that can be your step towards normal. That can be your step towards a little bit less of it taking over your life. This grief journey is a mess. It's unpredictable. You can't plan for it. Even if you decide, okay, if I start to feel this way, I'm going to do this. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always work. And I swear, whenever I get to the point where I see, you know what? I'm feeling better. I'm doing better. Tomorrow's a new day, and I'm going to wake up energetic, and I'm going to walk a new walk, and I'm going to just tackle each day with the best positive attitude possible. I wake up that next morning in a state of depression. I can't just tell myself, this is how you're going to feel. And I say that because I've literally tried it. All right, listen. You've been depressed long enough. You've been sad long enough. You've been sitting in this spot looking at that picture of your son long enough. Your son doesn't want you to do this. Your loved ones don't want you to do this. So now you're going to do something different. You're going to get up, dust yourself off. Sound familiar? I'm going to dust myself off, and I'm going to do this a whole different way. Sounds good. It's a nice pep talk. It just doesn't work that way. I literally have to get up now and think about my day. Okay, here's what's coming. Here's what I have to do. Let's try to approach it this way. I'll try to approach this situation in that way. Hopefully, nothing here triggers. I get a phone call every day from a number that is almost identical to my son, and I had never realized it up until a few weeks ago. Now I see it every day, and it bothers me every day. But I have to continue to do what I have to do. This man's calling me because he's making a delivery. So I have to go and open the doors for him to bring in the delivery, even though in my mind, literally every day, I want to tell him, do you know your phone number is almost identical to my son who passed away? But then I think about, I don't want to keep telling people my son passed away. I feel like it's me, almost like I'm trying to look for their sympathy, and I'm not that type of person. It's weird to feel like your grief is something that's like you're wanting attention. And I've told you guys, I don't want the attention. Especially, when people find out and they feel bad, and then you feel bad for telling them something that made them feel bad. It's like this cycle is it's all over the place. We always heard the cute, these are the stages of grief. We knew there was no particular order that you would just deal with those stages. But who knew how this cycle would really be until they got into the position of having to deal with it? I can go through all of the stages of grief in less than 15 minutes because I will be angry about the loss and then get sad and still try to make promises to God and still go through dealing with, I don't want to deal with this, and how do I get past dealing with it, and how do I do something different, and in trying to change my perspective at that moment, I get into another stage. It's almost like insanity. And then I see my son who's still living, who had his little brother there since the age of 2, who cannot remember a day when his brother was not a part of his life. And when I say he just pushes on every day, and he'll tell me, yes, Mom, I think about my brother. I don't forget about my brother. But I still have to move forward. He doesn't realize how much he inspires me to keep going, how much he inspires me to change trajectory of my whole life. I brought him in this world. I'm supposed to be teaching him these lessons, but he teaches me almost every day the things that I need to change as far as this grief journey goes. Not just him, other people in my family. Of course, their understanding of the fact that this is my child, this is someone I brought into the world, and to be here, and he's not. It's a lot to deal with. And if you've lost a child, I'm so sorry that you have to go through it. But I guess what makes us different than anyone else who has to go through a loss, who has to go through grief, who has to deal with the death of someone close to them. I will say, losing a child and losing a parent, that may be a much harder grief. But I don't know that I could say that because there's some people who aren't close to their parents. So loss of an aunt may be hard. Loss of a friend may be hard. There's really no categories of this is the worst type of grief and this is the best type of grief. Doesn't even make sense. The best type of grief, even when it's not related to a death. I don't know that we can even put that sometimes above the death of someone close to you when it's a huge loss. Grief is grief. I just get to the point where I'm tired of dealing with it. And unfortunately, I have no choice. It's here to stay. It's a part of my life. It's just so weird to me because it's not the first time I've lost a family member, but it's the first time I've lost someone this close. Is it healthy to continue to talk about it? I think so. Because I think for me, as I've said before, it's therapeutic. Now, if it's hard for you to talk about it, that may not be your way of dealing with it. I can't tell you what steps to take. I can't tell you what to try. I know that there's several things out there that you can do. There's support groups. There's other podcasts. There's so many things that you can do to help with coping. My advice this week is just to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Regular doctor visits. If you don't do therapy, that's fine. Make sure your physical is well just as much as your mental. Because being in sadness, it can definitely affect your physical health as well. Take the time to go see a doctor. Take the time to take your health seriously, physical as well as mental. You'll thank me for it. And that could be something that just helps to clear your mind to where you're just for a brief moment not dealing with that grief. So try that. Try whatever's necessary to take care of yourself. Even if you just take a minute, step away, read a magazine article, read a comic. I don't think they make comic books anymore, but I'm sure you can find one online somewhere. Look at something funny. Watch a show. Do something to pull yourself out of it. Do something to take care of you. Ladies, get your hair done. Get your nails done if you're one who does that. That is one other thing that I do. I religiously get my nails done every couple of weeks, and that is a time that I try not to think on the things that are sad in my life. My nail tech and I have fun conversations. And that's another time that I'm taking care of me. I'm just giving you suggestions. I don't know what you do. If you ride horses, go ride your horse. If you ride motorcycle in an area where you can do so, although I know Harley riders ride all year long, take a ride. Get that wind on your face, even in your car. Whatever it takes. Just take some time to take care of you. And as always, in everything you do, make sure you are true to yourself. That's why I can't tell you what to do. Me being true to me is not the same as you being true to you. But be true to yourself, be strong, and be mighty. I'm here for you every other Friday, everywhere that you listen to podcasts, and you can watch on YouTube and Spotify. Go back and look at some of the other episodes. There may be some information that can help you. If you'd like to give us a topic, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, look, I just spoke something into existence. Not the podcast, the show. But if you'd like to be a guest, feel free to email me at wearemighty24@gmail.com. It's going to get better. It's getting better, whether you recognize it or not. Take a few minutes to take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.
They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.